back. So today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do a tag. I've never done a tag on this channel, but I thought it might be a good idea to try one just so you guys can get to know me a little bit better. If you guys like it, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know. There will be plant content coming back probably on Thursday, so watch out for that. If you don't like tags, you can skip this one, come back on Thursday. But yeah, so the tag I'm gonna do is the Juicy Plant Tuber tag. It was made by Nicole, who is Juju Succulents on Instagram. She has an amazing YouTube channel. You probably already know about it, but I'm gonna link her original YouTube video in the description down below. Okay, let's get into it. So the first question is, what are your 3 most expensive plants you own? What were the prices, and were there any regrets? So the most expensive plant I own, I did an unboxing on. It is my Philodendron Pink Princess. That's pretty. This is very new to me. I've only had it for maybe like 2 weeks, and I got this off of Etsy from Rainy City Plants, and this, including shipping and tax, cost me $140 something, almost $150, and is by far my most expensive plant. It has like a new growth point right now, and I'm hoping it will unfurl soon. But yeah, this is by far my most expensive plant. And then I think the second most expensive plant is a Philodendron Jose Bueno that I own. And I'm not going to say exact prices because that one was a private seller. So like it was like a friend that I went and picked up the plant from. So I don't want to like say the exact price, but it's about market price for what you would expect to get from a Philodendron Jose Bueno. I haven't really shown that on camera yet. It's pretty big. It's in a different room right now. And then I think the third most expensive plant I own is probably this. This is my Monstera Thai Constellation. This is the extra small size from NSC Tropicals. So it did eventually start browning like right here. So I did have to do a little bit of a cut, but so far after I cut it, it hasn't continued browning, so I'm hoping it doesn't. I might move it, I don't know, because I've had it for kind of a while and it hasn't grown a new leaf at all, but the roots look really good. Let me show you the roots. Like some thick roots right there, and then there's like a hella thick root right here. So I know that the roots are good and that the roots are all the way down at the bottom. There's even one like sticking out. So at least I know that's good, but it hasn't put out a new leaf yet. I think I've had it for maybe a month now. So I hope it puts out a new leaf soon. So this was the extra small size. And I believe the price for this was $75, not including like taxes and stuff. I think after taxes and shipping, probably around like $90-ish, 80 something dollars, $90 for this, which is honestly a really good price. And this was again from NSC Tropicals. I love this plant. Maybe I'll just like leave it right here. Okay, so the second question is, what is the most you would spend on a plant? I think, well, obviously the most I would spend on the plant is like $150, which is what I spent on the Pink Princess. But like realistically, I think I would like to stay around like the $100 mark, because I feel like I'm not there yet in like my plant parenthood skills to own a plant that costs like $200, because like I still kill plants on a very regular basis and I don't want to like lose that amount of money. I don't know. Maybe I would spend more if it was like a huge plant. Like I understand that like those huge albos, like yeah, they're gonna cost like probably $300 or $400. I don't know if I'm like there yet though. So I feel like the most I would spend like right now would probably be like just above $100 around that mark. Okay. Number 3, has your plant collection ever caused issues in your relationships? If yes, please explain. I don't think it's ever like caused issues. Like I live with my family, and my family's definitely like, you own too many plants, but all of my plants is very condensed to mostly spaces that are mine. So I have this office, which is like, I'm the only person that uses this office, which is where the majority of my plants are. And then the other half of my plants is in my bedroom. I have like a few plants like throughout the house, but like those plants are like a normal amount of plants that like a normal person would have. So yeah, I keep my collection pretty contained to only the spaces that are mine. I have tried to put plants like everywhere before, and they have definitely been like, okay, like come on, like you can't put, you know, like 6 different plants in the kitchen, like you gotta move them. And I would just move them, like it's not that big of a deal to me. So yeah. Number 4, has owning plants interfered with your travel plans? So I don't know, because I haven't really made any travel plans recently. I didn't really start having like a huge collection that would like be an issue probably until like January. I feel like my collection, even in like November and December, I started collecting plants probably like September, and I feel like it was like a pretty normal amount of plants until like December. And then ever since like this January, I think it was when it kind of tipped over to the point of like, yeah, like this is probably going to be an issue if I wanted to travel like for a long period of time. I haven't made any plans to travel for a long period of time yet, so I don't know. I haven't really left for more than like 2 or 3 days, and my plans have been fine. I didn't even like ask anyone to check on them or anything because it was only like 2 or 3 days. Yeah, but I feel like, I don't know. I'll let you know once that issue has come up. Okay. 5, have you killed a plant intentionally? Yes. Sometimes if I'm annoyed with a plant, I'll put it outside to die. Let's see, what have I done that to? I did it to, my mom had an asparagus fern that she told me to take care of, and it got mealybugs, and I tried to like clean it, but it like kept having a lot of mealybugs, and it got to the point where I just didn't care anymore, so I left it outside and it pretty much died. And then I also put, I had this calla lily plant that I was trying to grow from a bulb, but it just like, it grew very quickly, but every leaf that came out, it just wasn't strong enough to hold itself up, so like it would just snap and like be like bent over, like every single leaf. Like I feel like the leaf was just too big for what the stem was, so I got annoyed with it, so I put it outside and it died. And then I currently have 2 polka dot plants up here that are on their way out, and I don't really care enough to save them. I hate those plants. Like no matter what I do, the polka dot plants, they always just brown, like no matter what humidity I give it, no matter what lighting situation, like they always end up getting crispy, and I just like don't care anymore. So they're both dying. I have 2 and I don't care, so they're gonna die. Okay, what's the most stressful part about owning plants? I think that on like a regular basis, like having plants isn't stressful. Like that's why it's a hobby and that's why we do it. But in December I got really sick for like a long period of time. I was sick for like almost 2 weeks, or like over 2 weeks, and I had at that point around 60 plants, and it was very hard for me to get to all of them because I was so sick, and a lot of plants suffered because of it, and that was really stressful because I was new to the hobby and I was really into these plants, and it was the first time I was spending like a large chunk of money on plants, and they were dying not because of any like crazy reason. They were literally like browning and yellowing because I didn't water them, and that was very frustrating to me. Sometimes on like big watering days, I try to water like different sections on different days, but sometimes it kind of all aligns where like all of my plants need water on the same day, and that's really stressful to me to water like, I would say probably 100 plants on the same day. So yeah. If you were only allowed to have 3 plants in your collection, which ones would they be? I didn't really think about this. I think probably won this Thai constellation. I think the Thai constellation over the Pink Princess. And I would keep my Philodendron Rio. It's in a different room right now, but my Philodendron Rio, I got it locally at a nursery here called The Secret Garden. It was the only one in the store. It was a 6-inch pot, and for like an amazing price. Like I had to double check with the clerk that they were even selling it, and when she saw what it was, she was like, wow, I didn't realize that we even had this. Like, that's crazy. So that felt like a steal of a lifetime. That felt like it was meant to be my plant, and it grows really well, and it's also a quick growing plant, which I really like. And then let me open this real quick. And then I think the third plant would be this. This is a Philodendron Birkin. It is my favorite plant, like in general, so I probably wouldn't want to get rid of this one. It's also sentimental. This was the first wishlist plant that I got, so this was like the first time I spent like a pretty penny on a plant. Now you can kind of find them everywhere because now they're tissue cultured, I believe they've always been tissue culture plants, but now they're mass produced tissue culture, and so people have been finding these in like Kroger stores in the Midwest, which is crazy to me. This cost me $45, and I picked it up from a plant person locally. It was 3 leaves, I believe it was, or it had these 4 leaves that like didn't have any pattern on them, and it was also, this leaf was like unfurling, and so basically all of the variegated leaves came out during my care. It's looking real good. This plant definitely likes more humidity. I took it out of the greenhouse for a while and put it just like underneath the grow light just to see what would happen, and it did not like that. As soon as I put it back in the greenhouse, it started growing again. So definitely likes more humidity. So I think those would be my 3. Okay, so number 8 is, what's your opinion on the rare plant type? I have kind of like mixed feelings about it. Like, I understand that there are like actually very rare plants in the world, and that like, you know, like plants you have to like go into the jungle to identify and to get, and there are very few limited numbers that exist like in the market, and it takes a lot of work to grow and a lot of work to cultivate. I get that. There's usually an astronomical price tag attached to those plants. Like, okay, fine, I get that. I feel like what I don't like about the rare plant hype is sometimes it feels like this is like a club, and you don't get to be a part of the club if you don't own certain plants. Like, you're not like a real plant Instagram person unless you own like a Monstera Thai constellation. Sometimes it kind of feels that way. I don't know whether or not that's true. I guess that's up to you and your opinions, but I'm just saying that for me, sometimes it feels a little bit like there's a judgment around what kind of plants you own and what kind of plants you don't own, depending on where you look. And I'm definitely all for like accessibility to the hobby, because at the end of the day, like, this is what it is. It's a hobby, and more people should be able to partake in the hobby. We shouldn't try to price people out. And so I think it's really dumb when people become a little bit judgy of when the Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, the whole tissue culture scandal was going on, and some people were like, that you don't own a real tetrasperma unless you own like the from seed kind and not the tissue culture kind, because really, like, a lot of plants are tissue cultured. A lot of plants are tissue cultured even if you don't know that they're tissue cultured. Like the Philodendron Pink Princess is a tissue culture plant, and, you know, like, these aren't labeled, so I don't know if this plant is tissue cultured or not, but, you know, like, people don't become judgy about the Philodendron Pink Princess. So yeah, I feel like especially if you're just entering into this hobby, it's important to remember that you should be buying plants because you really like the plant, because you really want the plant, and it doesn't make you any less of like a plant parent or any less of like a plant enthusiast if you've only ever bought plants from big box stores, or if you've only ever bought common plants. You know, like some of my common plants are some of my favorite plants. I didn't start buying quote unquote rare, trendy, rare plants until, you know, like January of this year, like almost half a year later of me having a plant Instagram and having a YouTube channel. And I feel like my worth in like the information I'm able to provide, or even like really like, to be honest, the entertainment that I provide isn't like tied to the amount of rare plants that I own. But yeah, but sometimes it's kind of hard to see all of these amazing rare plants that you don't own. And you're like, well, would I be like a more popular creator if I owned all of these plants? And I feel like that's not the right mindset though. So yeah, those are my jumbled thoughts on that. Let me know what your jumbled thoughts are down below in the comments. Okay, let's move on. Okay, number 9 is, have you ever purchased a plant just because it was trending and you don't like it that much? The only plant that this has ever really happened to was I was not into the variegated string of hearts, like at all. I thought it was so overhyped. I didn't like how they grew. I didn't understand what the hype was. Like they always looked like a tangled mess to me. I was like, not into it. And then the first time I saw one in the store, I was like, oh, should I buy it? Like I don't know, I don't really like them, but like, wow, like I have them here at my local nursery, and I kind of bought it just because it was at my local nursery and I thought it was cool that I found one there. And then I brought it home and I didn't like it for like probably like the first month. I was just kind of like whatever with it, and then it started growing really quickly and really beautifully, and now I love it, and now it's probably one of my favorite plants. I did a care video on that a few videos ago, but I feel like I like it a lot more now that it's getting fuller and now that it's trailing, because when I got it, it was just kind of like a few petals up top and it didn't look that great. So yeah, that's definitely one example. I feel like for me, more often than not, it goes the other way though, that I really, really like a plant and then I get it into my house and then I'm not crazy about it. I don't know what's like an example. I don't know. I don't really know what an example is off the top of my head. But yeah, I feel like more often it's the other way. I don't usually buy plants just because it's trending. Okay, number 10. Do you think having a plant collection is bad for the environment? Okay, so I kind of feel two ways about this. First, that I think that the resurgence in the hobby of owning plants is generally a good thing. It's like for a lot of people, it's, you know, reconnecting them with nature, and now people aren't so kind of blind to all the greenery that is around them. And I feel like a lot of people who are now like into plants, they're not, you know, like people who own like 100 plants. It's just like normal people who now, you know, instead of an apartment that doesn't have plants or that had fake plants, now own real plants. And I feel that on like a large level, that is a great thing. I also think that, you know, for a lot of plants, like these very serious collectors who are, you know, amazing at their trade and amazing at growing plants, has kept a lot of species like in conservation. So that's a good thing. I do think that there's an environmental impact, of course, with like shipping plants and, you know, like sending plants and the fuel cost and like all of that. I think it's kind of inevitable, and I think that it's kind of the only way for a lot of people to get access to some of these plants. I do think that it's more about just being mindful of when we buy plants and not buying too many plants, which I'm very guilty of. I also save all of my packing materials that I get when I get plants in, and I reuse them when I'm sending plants out. So yeah. I feel like on a very general level though, it is good. We just have to be mindful and not to turn it into a bad thing. And then last question, number 11, how much would someone have to pay you to kill your favorite plant? I don't know, like, yikes, like for me to personally kill my favorite plant, ooh, I feel like kind of a lot, like at least enough for me to be able to replace the current specimen with like a better one. Like I feel like maybe for like if you were to tell me to kill my tide constellation, like I would have to need enough money to buy, you know, like a much bigger and more mature tide constellation. So maybe like I would say probably like $600 to $700. Oof, I feel bad saying that though. And honestly, like same with like even like this Birkin, because this Birkin has emotional attachment, even though it's not technically a very expensive plant anymore, but I have a lot of emotional attachment to it. So probably like, yeah, high hundreds. 500 plus, 600 plus, around that price range. Oof. Yikes. Alright, so that was all of the questions. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye!